Alrighty. So this presentation is all about eradicating your limiting beliefs. I want you to go through this journey as empowered and confident as possible. So it's time to remove some of the limiting beliefs that a lot of candidates have as they progress through this journey. They will come up, they'll come up during interviews, um, or they might just come up as you do your research in companies and you're like, and you start to feel intimidated by even submitting your application. Look, I really want you to come in here confidently. I'm going to teach you how to do that. So, just a agenda or recap of what we'll go over today. So, obviously, this introduction, we're going to go into the myth of needing a boot camp, the myth of needing sales experience. This is very common. A lot of people don't have sales experience. And the myth of needing technical knowledge. I'll give you some tips on how to break down these barriers, and then we'll wrap up. So, just a quick intro. Have you ever felt like maybe you're not good enough to break into this industry? Or you say to yourself, well, crap, can I really do it? I have no sales background. I'm not the most extroverted person in the room. Um, I don't even know how to code. Like, I know how to use a computer, but I don't know exactly how technology works. That's okay. It's very common if you're not from the tech industry, if you're not from a sales background, it's very common to have these thoughts. It's really common to doubt yourself or feel like you might not be good enough. And these are limiting beliefs. Um, totally valid that you have them, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to educate you through these beliefs and just wipe them out. They're not going to serve you. I really am going to I'm really going to just do this basically by telling you the truth and telling you what you really actually do require. Again, I'm not here to lead you astray. The last thing I want to do is waste your time. Uh, I'm going to point you in the right direction by telling you how it is. So we'll explore those limiting beliefs and how to overcome them. The myth of needing a boot camp. Oh my God. This is a very common question that I see on Reddit. It's a common question that I get. I get it. It feels like taking a boot camp and paying the price for a boot camp is going to prepare you and arm you. They have really good salespeople that are going to tell you, yes, we're going to help you get hired and actually place you somewhere, but if you pay us this absorbent amount of money. These boot camps are crazy expensive. I've seen some for $10,000. I had a buddy that took a digital marketing boot camp for $12,000, and he had nothing good to say about it. So you don't need those boot camps to break into the tech industry. It's an entry level position that we're going for here, meaning that you're going to learn a lot as you go along. You don't need to pay $10,000 or thousands of dollars to learn the craft. You will learn a lot of it on the job. So I'm I'm putting a stake on the ground here, and I'm telling you now, you do not need a boot camp to succeed at all. At all. Period. Um, I none of my look. I've been in tech sales for almost 10 years. I've worked with hundreds of people at this point. I have sold to a lot of technical people as well who are obviously also in the tech industry. No one has a boot camp. No one has a boot camp. A lot of them just have a typical, I've seen a lot of folks even come from retail, from restaurants, from, college graduates. No one has a boot camp. And there's even data to back it up. Only 20% of employees in the tech industry have a degree in computer science or a related field. So even if you don't have a degree from a tech oriented degree, that's okay. My degree was in political science. What do you think political science has to do with tech? I'll tell you right now, it has nothing to do with tech. Yet I'm here. And so you don't need it. You don't need a boot camp. The majority of the people in tech have learned their skills through online courses like this one, self-study, right? There's a lot of sales books on Amazon that teach you the fundamentals of sales, and on the job training. Like I said, a lot of the skills you need to learn, you'll learn on the job. To break into tech sales, you simply need to know how to market yourself well, which is through a strong resume, how to interview well. This is all stuff that I am going to teach you and drill into you. And trust me, you will feel super confident no matter where you go, even if it's not tech sales. So, long story short, you don't need a boot camp. That's the great news. The myth of needing sales experience. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need prior sales experience. It is not a requirement. Yes, of course, it's an asset, but there's a lot of successful tech salespeople who come from diverse backgrounds and industries. One of the most successful sales managers that I know comes from the restaurant industry. He was just a restaurant manager, your local family owned Italian restaurant type of thing. Dude had no prior sales experience. He had good work experience. He obviously was a go getter. He climbed up the ranks to become a manager at a restaurant. So he knew what it took to differentiate himself. But this guy had no background in sales or in tech. A lot of tech companies actually really love the diversity. They love that diverse background that doesn't look like your stereotypical tech background. Why? Because that means that you bring fresh ideas and fresh perspectives to the background or to the job. And tech companies, their whole thing is how can we be more innovative? Because if they're more innovative, they're more competitive. If they're more competitive, they make more money. If they make more money, we all win. And so they love to bring in people from diverse backgrounds and then teaching them the craft, teaching them the art. So your diverse background that's not necessarily tech oriented or not necessarily sales oriented is a good thing. And so here is what does matter though. I'm going to tell it to you straight, and I'm going to teach you this specific step in a later stage throughout the interviewing process. But what does matter is being able to translate your work experience into something that's money related. So something sales related or something revenue generated. Uh, you have to be able to know how to speak in a number focused, positive impact focused, or achievement driven way. So, what does that mean? Just a very, very quick example, because again, I'm going to teach you this in a different video, but uh, for example, let's say that you worked at a restaurant, right? You're a server at the restaurant. All you do is you take people's order, you write it down, you provide them with good service, you're really nice, and that's how you get your tip, right? That's what servers do. How is being a server in any way sales or revenue or money focused, right? How can you flip your server experience and translate it into sales experience? Well, what a lot of servers do is they'll upsell their customers. How do they upsell them? They ask, would you like dessert? Can I offer you this top shelf liquor or alcohol instead of the standard, cheap vodka that we're going to put in your drink? Would you like to buy this instead? Would you like fries with that? These little questions can result in more money. So, if, for example, if I was in a server, I would say like, look, big part of my job was upselling customers. I upsold every customer on average somewhere around 5 to 10% of their bill. And so at the end of the day, I brought in about $2,000 in upsells alone for the restaurant. And what that means is that on average, every month, I bring about XYZ amount in additional revenue simply by asking my clients and upselling them on, hey, would you like dessert with that? Would you like this with that? It sounds simple, but that's how I did it. Boom. That's what I would do if I was someone coming from the restaurant industry. I just translated my work experience into something that's sales or revenue focused. And if you can do that by focusing your answers, you can compensate for your lack of traditional sales experience. Again, I'll get into this. You do not need sales experience, although I will admit it is a differentiator. The myth of needing technical knowledge. I'm talking about coding, computer science, how internet networks work, IT, infosec, cybersecurity, knowing the whole ecosystem of technology and software and coding and how all of it works. You don't need to know it. It's a very common misconception that you needed to have advanced technical knowledge to succeed in tech sales. It makes sense why people would think this. Yeah, if I'm going to get into tech sales, I guess I should know how tech works. You don't need to. Yes, of course, you obviously need to know how to use an iPhone. Yes, you do know how to use the internet. You know, you have to know how to be able to Google and research and find answers on your own. But that's not really knowing how tech works. That just means you know how to use technology. So if you know how to use technology, which if you're listening to this presentation, I'm sure you do. If you got to this presentation, that means you know how to use a computer. That means you know how to research. That means you know how to find the resources you need on the internet to go get your job done. Congratulations, you're qualified for tech sales. Really, tech sales is a sales job at the end of the day. So what this means is understanding who you're selling to, understanding your audience and their needs. That's it. If you can understand someone's needs and they have a problem or a challenge and your software can help with that, uh, then you can do this job. That's a very rudimentary, high-level explanation, but at the core, that's what you're going to be doing day to day in your tech sales role. So all this means is being able to communicate the value of your product or service in a way that resonates with your customers. Also means, building relationships, building trust, aka not being a sleazy, slimeball salesperson. Aka you just show up to the job, you're honorable, you do your best, you try to help others. Really, all this has more to do with interpersonal skills than it has anything to do with technical knowledge. And so you do not need technical knowledge to break into tech sales. Wipe out this limiting belief from your mindset and psychology. So just to kind of start recapping here, key strategy here is that, look, you have to come into this with the growth mindset. So if you are someone that embraces challenge as opportunities to learn and to grow, that's a great thing. If you already have a growth mindset, guess what? You're qualified. If you can showcase how in the past you have learned something new or how you've gone above and beyond to train yourself up on a new skill or topic or subject, or even, let's say that you have taken on a new job before and this new job was very new, like you had to learn a new skill, like let's say how to use Excel and create reports that, show profitability. I don't know. You learned a new skill. Someone had to teach you that new skill on the job. Do you have examples of this? Can you showcase how you have learned something new in the past? If yes, it's actually a really good idea if you start to think of these stories now. Start to think about ways that you've done this in the past. Start to ruminate on it. And then when the interviewing phase comes, if you have these stories memorized in the back of your head and you can explain these stories and these examples well in your interviewing process, you're going to demonstrate that you're highly coachable and highly trainable. And that's going to be really good as you look to break into this foreign industry, which you're going to be new to, which is the tech industry. So begin to think about these stories now. So to conclude, right, if these limiting beliefs don't exist, the world is yours. Go and get your money. I'm telling you now, these are limiting beliefs. They're not really based on reality. It has no reflection of how the tech industry actually works. Sales is also a really learnable skill that can be taught to anybody. I think a lot of people have a big misconception of what sales really looks like. Thank you, Hollywood. Thank you, movies, for painting the sales profession as the slimiest profession in the world. It's really not like that day to day. And so you will learn 99% of this on the job. Lastly, look, I want to make it clear that, I've been in the tech industry for almost 10 years now. I've had multiple six-figure years. I've basically made over $100,000 every year since I was like 23, 24, right? I'm not trying to brag. Fine, fuck it. That was a humble brag. But really, the point that I'm trying to get across is that, I did not come from a formal sales or tech background. Again, I mentioned to you that I got a degree in political science. Prior to breaking into the tech industry, I had a few really just like menial internships in college. I was literally the kid that would show up to the office and I was scanning documents on the scanner all day. That's what I got paid to do. That was my quote unquote internship. But I was ambitious. I learned how to sell myself well during the interviews. I was a kid who always went to the career center. I learned how to optimize my resume. I really learned how to go and get a job. And tech sales really called out to me. And so I had a will to succeed. And so I broke into the tech industry. And here I am today teaching you how to do the same. And so the point I want to make is this: you don't need a formal sales or tech background. I myself am a living testament of this. And so let's wipe out these limiting beliefs and progress forward nonetheless.